Paranormal Experienced with Kat Hobson covers paranormal experiences, haunted locations, and their histories, high strangeness, including cryptozoology, ufologists, psychics, mediums, authors, and media personalities. Join her as she seeks to bring light to those things that exist by hiding in the dark. Here she is, your host, Paranormal Experience Radio, the one and only Kat Hobson.
Hello there. Welcome to Paranormal Experience with Kat Hobson. That's me. I am never sure I'm going to live up to Race's introductions of me. So I just try, and I do that by bringing you really great guests who have caught my eye, who are very active in their work in the paranormal field, who are creative. I mean, basically, like the guy I'm having on tonight, who is someone that is very, he's just one of my favorite people. He's a paranormal investigator. He is a creator of so many shows. He is the co-founder and host of Supernatural Things. He is the owner and CEO of the Things Network, which is probably from the Hoosiers investigating new ghost society. He is the founder and lead investigator of that team. He is the owner of J.E. York Games. He is the founder and co-host of Mark's Own Wrestling. And, you know, he's really... Oh, and also founder and co-host of the 13th Dimension. And that is not spelled out as I was made aware of. So I'm just so glad to welcome this guy on with me. His name is Jeremy York. He is very special. And hello, Jeremy.
Hello?
Hiya.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
You know, it's not often people need to turn the volume up when I'm talking. So if you had to do that, I'm writing that down.
Oh, you can
I like it.
Loud and clear for me.
Good. Well, we have Maria Wilson in chat who says, hola. So, hola, Maria. So, you know, I have followed your work for a long time. I like you. I like what you do. I like the inclusivity that you bring to the paranormal. And I also think you're kind of well, I don't think. I know that you're a warrior and a survivor. And I'm just glad to know you. So, that being said, we're going to move on from my personal feelings and just say thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. And thanks for being had. So when we first met, I did not know everything that you did. And then when I asked you to come on and I saw everything that you did, I was like, holy cow, this guy's busy. And, you know, you work too. So I was just like, oh, well, we have so many things to talk about because I don't know a lot about your sports show. So what got you into doing a sports broadcast?
I'm guessing you're talking about the wrestling show that I do?
Yeah, I am. Mark's Own Wrestling.
Mark's Own Wrestling, that is a show that I do with Donald Martin. He is Southern Paranormal down in Mississippi. And we both have grown up on wrestling. and we were talking about doing a show. I had been wanting to do a wrestling show for some time, um, but it just never really found the right kind of format in order to do so. And I got to talking with Donald. He had been wanting to do one as well. So we talked it over and figured out what exactly we wanted to do, which is kind of like a round robin type show where
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be the same every show. um, yes, Marie, you are hearing music. um, so came up with the name Marks on Wrestling, which is kind of like a dig on the internet wrestling community, because there's a lot of drama in the wrestling community, just like there is in the paranormal community. And the one that are always talking about, oh yeah, this it's all fake, it's all set up, it's all this, that, yada yada yada. People like that are now I'm going to be nice. So those kind of people, when they look at fans who really get into the moment and get into these matches, they call them marks, because it's like, yeah, you think these guys are actually fighting? They're not. Okay, you're not telling me something I don't know. So I decided to call it Marks on Wrestling as a dig at that.
I like that.
Um, but I thought the name was cool.
It is.
Yeah, and
Well, especially for people who are vested in that
Mhm.
and know what you're talking about.
Right.
I mean, it just brings it home.
And a good friend of mine up in Wisconsin, he was like, "Why do you call it Marks on Wrestling? Neither one of you guys is named Mark. Do you not know the terminology of what a mark is?" And he didn't know that, so I had to explain it to him, and he's, oh, now I get it. So it's just a little fun thing that we came up, and I realized it when you were going through all the things that I'm involved in. Something that I didn't tell you about is that I had launched a network for wrestling. Right now,
I had no idea.
yeah, it just started up a few weeks ago. There's only
Okay.
2 shows on it. Hours on Sundays, and then one that's called JT's Wrestling World on Wednesdays. So it's a slow startup, but I think eventually it'll grow.
You know, there is a huge market for that. When I was younger and, still in the dating phase, is in my mid 20s, I dated a wrestler in Georgia who was part of the Southern Wrestling, whatever. I can't remember the name of the organization now, but he was his, do you call them stage names? His performance name
It's a,
was the Southern Savage. And this was, like I said, this was probably 20 something years ago. And I had the best time because I never went to a match because I didn't want to see him getting like mooshed and smashed and bent and doing that to other people. I don't, violence bothers me, even if it's, you know, intentional violence, right?
right.
So I'm a great big sissy. But it was an interesting thing for me to, because I worked out with him and I called it working out. I was not. I was just kind of over in the corner doing stuff while he did boosh things like, So I looked like I was riding a tricycle. But it's really the athleticism is definitely there.
Oh yeah.
I was so shocked by stuff when my parents would have dinner parties and stuff or cookouts, and if we went to one couple's house for that because it was a round robin kind of thing, and they would have Friday night wrestling. Is that still a thing?
Oh yeah.
That-
there's wrestling almost every night of the week.
Well, this was back before there were all the channels and cable and everything because, I'm old. But it was, I am. But it was really cool because I saw what was at that time the venue for wrestling, right? And these people followed it like a religion. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's definitely either you're a fan or you're not. I don't think there's a mid range, is there? Not really.
Not on this one. It is definitely either you're a fan or you're not.
Yeah.
But as a fan, it's whether you are smart to the industry or dumb to the industry.
Okay.
Me, I don't care.
Right.
I just enjoy it.
It's like performance art, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. It is a very physical
Yes.
performance arts. These guys, and sometimes they get hurt bad.
Yeah.
But even if they don't get hurt, they are sore the next day.
I would think.
Yes.
Well, I know that he was. So, and it's something that, this was back in the era when, Dusty Rhodes and all these other people were hanging out at Shooters in Lithonia, Georgia. And, everybody was just in the Atlanta area. It was a big community.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an education. So you are bringing that with all of your paranormal stuff. You're a very diverse guy.
To be quite honest, I've kind of put the paranormal on the back burner
Right?
in a lot of ways. Not that I've stepped away from the paranormal. That'll never happen. But I kind of pushed it aside to let other priorities take over.
Take their place.
Yeah. Because I realized that, well, basically for the last 10 years, all I ever want to do is paranormal this, paranormal that. And eventually there comes a time where you start getting tired of it because everything becomes very repetitive. All the stories end up being the same, no matter who tells it. At least from my experience. So I
have seen some of that, and
Mhm.
I'm with you. I do know that there's a lot of competitive attitudes, and I don't really understand that because if you catch lightning in a bottle and you get a show, or you get to be on a show, it's not really. I mean, that is lightning in a bottle. The average person is not going to be in a position where that happens. And
Yes.
it's the genre as entertainment goes, you can only go to so many demonically haunted locations. And I think that sometimes if somebody keeps saying that wherever they're going, that is completely not the location that's having the problem.
Depending on who you're talking about, every
Well,
location.
just talking
demons.
general.
Yeah. And the way that I see it for those that are able to, for those, I look at it a number of different ways. Some people say, yeah, these guys are extremely good at what they do, very knowledgeable, and a lot of times that is. But there are other people, when I look at them and really find out what they're about, it just tells me that they were entertaining enough to get on a show. Doesn't matter what their experience level is or what their knowledge is. They were just entertaining enough to end up on a TV show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the I think, well, case in point, and I'm not bashing anybody because I respect anybody who is out there doing work and actually succeeding. But, you know, when people talk about Zach Bagans, for example, and love him, hate him, he does a good job. He goes to locations that are iconic. He has, I mean, he's investigated astounding places. His museum is brilliant. He's a great business person, but he was also a theater major.
Mhm.
And so he knows how to get, um, he knows how to invoke emotion, and he knows how to bring it home, right? And I don't take anything away from him because I think that, again, love him or hate him, he's done a lot to bring the existence of the paranormal into people's living room so that they could do it, like Ghost Hunters. I mean, they both were iconic shows. They both still are, even in their reiteration for Ghost Hunters. But everybody else that followed in behind there, it was hard work to find a gimmick, right?
It was. It is.
To find a niche.
Yeah. Um, for Ghost Adventures, I thought it was great that they did go get into all of these other locations, but the problem on their end is one, they made it completely like an entertaining show, especially with the antics of what Zach did with Aaron, always locking him up by himself while he goes away wherever. And
I always felt so bad for Aaron.
I think everybody did. And then the way that Aaron did his facial expressions whenever he heard a knock or whatever, it to me that's just pure entertainment.
It is, and that's what it was designed for.
Right. But what they are doing wrong, in my opinion, is that every location that they go to, it seems like, is full of nothing but demons.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong impression that they're giving to the viewers, because now they're expecting everything to be demonic.
Which is why some of my phone calls have been so interesting. I was like, my flower pot just went boom. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe it was misplaced.
Yeah. I've gotten several calls saying, hey, I think I got a demon in the house. Okay, what do you got going on? And they say, oh, well, I'm seeing shadows. I've got things being moved in different places. No, you do not have a demon.
Yeah. And don't you feel like when you get those calls, when they are, they're in a panic, and they're just thrilled because they found somebody to call, right? And then if they're genuine, it's really hard to talk them down, but to get them to where they're not ready to move and, get out of their house, take their dogs and children and run. And it's like, really, just let me come. We will move this.
For the ones I haven't really had that kind of a problem. The one that I do have a problem with talking down are the people that want their house to have paranormal stuff happening.
Yeah.
That's the one I have trouble with.
Yeah. Well, I get a lot of, I'm in the South. Everybody has quilts their grandmother made, furniture their grandmother had, stuff that's passed down, like the butter churn that their great grandmother or great put the cow's milk in to make butter and milk. And so there are all these artifacts sitting in these homes. People loved the way that they lived. People loved the stuff that they put into it, right?
I got stuff that
Yeah.
my mom had, my grandma had,
Hmm.
probably even beyond that. I got stuff
Sure.
in the house. So now I'm up in the north, so I get it. Um, but but I never have anything happening here in the house. There have been some people who have either come to the house or they're watching me through here.
Hmm.
They're like, "You got something in this house." Okay.
Sure, I do.
I
Yes.
Yeah, I never have any experiences here. Now I do hear things on occasion, but more times than not, it's either like my ice maker going
Hmm.
off or something settling in the house, which a lot of people tend to forget that the houses do settle no matter how long it's been sitting there on the land.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, heavy rains or extreme cold or heat. And oh, we have a question. So, Genghis Khan says, so I'm curious, will there be a rise of digital demons and entities?
if it's digital, absolutely.
My phone is haunted anyway. I can't make it work worth a dang. So he says the more digital as we progress. Hey, Mark.
Okay,
And we have
so
Lori too.
so I understand where he's going with this one, and AI is honestly scary.
It is. Oh my gosh. I find it so.
Yeah, I have read stories, actual science articles where they're talking about these like robots that they've made,
Hmm.
artificial AI robots, and I remember one about, I think it was 2 years ago. A question was posed to it, something about robots taking over the world,
Yeah.
and the AI said, "You don't want to know the answer to that."
Well, that's a little alarming, right?
It is
Because that's about as honest as you can get and still not get your plug pulled.
right. Look at now. This is going back into the '60s. Look at HAL 9000,
I know, right?
2001. Um, there had been um, not well, Child's Play. The reboot of Child's Play, that was basically AI. Um,
Just so you know, I don't watch horror movies.
okay, so
So
that's
I I deal with stuff in real time. So you know, I
so
just don't.
so in the reboot of Child's Play, instead of like in the original where the guy transferred his soul into a body, the the dolls in questions were manufactured to be like buddies for the kids, and
Mhm.
they would openly interact with the children. Well, this one guy was getting fired, so he took all of the safety measures off of this one doll, and it got shipped out. And this doll imprinted itself on the kid, and what whoever brought harm to the kid, this doll went after and killed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I could absolutely see something like that happen. They did the same thing with the movie Megan that came out a year or so ago.
Very similar to Chucky in appearance, anyway.
Yes, yes. So artificial intelligence, the digital world that we go into, it absolutely is horrifying with what
Well,
we're going into, especially
yes.
when there are still a lot of people that don't understand today's technology.
Yes. I think that's probably the scariest aspect for me because naivete or just choosing to ignore even is a conscious choice. And if you don't know it, you can't protect from it. You don't know how to do you know, the background and just if you refuse to educate yourself, it's very easy to be a mark.
Yep, exactly. And what's even more frightening are the people who think they understand it but don't.
Yes. Yes.
And that goes into all fields, not just technology, but it's very scary in the paranormal. There's a lot of people out there that say, "Oh yeah, I know what I'm doing," yada yada yada. They don't know shit.
No, they don't. And I'm going to just go brutal here and say that I've been that person. I have been that person that was trying to do something and thought I had it down pat, right? And bada bing. And it's tech stuff. I'm great with tech stuff. But when I when I got my banishment, right, I had no idea how to recover from that. And fortunately, I had friends that said, just do this, do this, do this. And I was hacked everywhere. I was
I
it hit
remember.
my it hit my financials, it hit everything. And that was just from Facebook. So, that's where it all originated. It is really scary what there is
Hmm.
and what people can do with almost no information.
Well,
You
my,
know,
my dad, for example, for the longest time, it would happen at least twice a year. Somebody would find his debit card number and try to make purchases.
how
And
did
it
they?
was happening all over the place until finally the bank said, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to completely change everything.
Right?
And once they did that, he hadn't had a problem since.
Well, that's what when I went into my bank and said, "This is happening, and this is all the places where this has occurred," and they were like, "Holy wow, yes!" You know, new debit cards, actually a new account, new debit cards, new credit card, everything affiliated with them. And I had to go to my where my other cards were and say, "Look, this has happened. This is what they're doing. Can you please do this too?" And they actually communicated with each other. They all worked together.
Mhm.
And I did not know they would do that. I had no idea that they would do that. But otherwise, I think I would still be fighting that. It was weird and it was kind of frightening. And then um, I started getting bills, no longer owned that social media platform, getting bills from them for ads that they were buying, charges that they were allowing, and they wanted payment because the cards didn't work. And I'm like, I have already reported this to you, and I'm the one that got in trouble. So you're going to have to whistle for that, I'm afraid. Go get the people that you let use my stuff. And it was, it was really, I was afraid it was going to ruin my credit. It didn't. I mean, they fixed it. So everything,
Every now and then, I'll get an email saying confirmation of purchase either through PayPal or Amazon.
yeah,
But I take a look at the email address, and it's always from somebody in Gmail.
hmm
And I know this is not real, and not to click on anything, because if it was legitimate, then it would come from Amazon or
yeah,
PayPal. So these people are fishing for this, and they think I'm going to click on their links. I just delete it.
yep.
It's
If it is something that I'm not expecting from a creditor or claiming to be a creditor, whatever, I I look at at the sender and like you, I don't even open the email. I just delete them. which for people who are facing stuff like this, you know, they're using AI to go through these systems and find the information too. And that is one of the biggest drawbacks that I have found from this, is that it's so easy just to put an active, really good search together to be gathering people's info. It's like not a big deal.
And now with the primaries coming up in just next week,
Hmm.
I've been getting swamped on my phone with text messages and phone calls
Yeah.
saying, support this party, support that person. I ain't going to support any of you people.
Nope.
And and this is how smart some of these people are. 9 times out of 10, I let the phone call go to my voicemail. If it comes up as just a bunch of numbers, I'm just going to let it go
Hmm.
because it's not somebody that I know. So it goes to voicemail and it says, "You have reached me. Please leave me a message and I'll get back with you." Today, I can't make this up. Today, one of those voicemails I got is like, "Hey, are you there? Can you hear me?"
Oh my gosh.
I'm listening to this for 21 seconds.
It's wanting a yes.
Right.
That is how they go.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking, wait a minute. They got my voicemail.
Mhm.
How can you not tell this voicemail unless it's AI actually making the call?
Yeah.
We are in trouble.
Well, those advertisements for the title lock and all this other stuff. That's that is a lot of times why you get the question. They're looking for you to say yes. They need your voice saying yes, and they can apply that in very, well, varied ways, really. And
I'm,
it's
I'm,
wicked
gonna, I'm
cool.
going to show this to you. It's from my phone. All these text messages that I get. You'll see what I have been put.
Oh
You,
my gosh, Jeremy.
I'm texting back. You've been reported as spam.
Go you.
Yeah, it's just
That's so proactive, and a lot of people don't know you can do that. Oh,
well,
oh,
my phone, the settings that was on it. Somehow it automatically recognizes it as spam and reports it anyway.
kind of
And
phone do
I
you
don't
have?
see it. Yeah, um, it's something will come in and then all of a sudden it'll just disappear, and then it will say
Oh,
spam detection, and it's been put into the unknown, um, in the spam folder for text
mhm.
messages, which I did not know existed until I got this phone.
What kind of phone is it?
It's a Googleplex 7,
Okay,
and
that's swinging.
it's a damn good phone. I just got it a year and a half ago, and my dad was asking me because he and I got brand new phones at the same time.
Hmm.
He was asking me if I had thought about upgrading. I was like, no, I'm happy with this thing.
I like mine. I have I have an Apple, but I I go through and I do my own settings through it, and I've got a lot of protections built in with that. So,
It's way too high.
am I wiggly? I should lean back. But oh,
Well,
by the way, the big red pig says bird sends a huge hug. So you have people, you have peeps there. You even got a Hey Sugar. So living right.
Yeah, she can be your sugar.
So, you know, it's really wild. And there's a good point made, which is people fear the internet just like they fear AI. And much like a gun, you have to know what you're using before you use it. I think that there's so many ways people are like evil geniuses, that can do the mwahaha thing, you know, just on a daily basis. These are very intelligent people who are out there just working it.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I want to say hi to Lori in chat too. But it's just so, it's really such a misuse of genius. So
that's
they
one
could
way.
be in chess tournaments or something, I mean, there's so many things they could be doing. Instead, they're using all of that just to get rich, right?
Oh yeah.
And face jail time.
In many ways, the internet and AI are not dissimilar.
No.
Um, when you really think about it, the internet has been artificial intelligence, especially when you go into the search engines.
Search engines, yes. And their ability to go to anything even slightly correlated to what you type.
And not only that, but with these phones here, you just have to say something,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you're getting advertisements for it.
And do you know, and I know you know, but like 3 years ago, when that subject, well, maybe five, but when it first started being discussed on Facebook, and people were like, I just said pajamas and I've got sleepwear ads, or,
Yeah,
I was having a risque conversation with one of my friends, and now I've got these kind of ads. One of my friends was like, oh my God, I don't even know what this is that I'm getting an ad for. And I'm not clicking it. I said, do not click it. I mean,
and
what were you
then
talking about?
there's also those Alexas that a lot of people have.
Hmm.
I'll never have one. Hell no.
I have one in my kitchen, but I used to have one in my room so that I could have music while I was working and stuff. And it is not connected any longer. It's not even in the room because I started noticing things especially on my Amazon suggestions and stuff. And I was like, nope,
Yeah.
nope.
Um,
And with what we do, there's a lot of weird conversations, right?
mhm.
And I'm just like, no, I do not need a ghost zapper. I don't even know what a ghost zapper is, but I got an ad for one and a suggestion on Amazon. So, I'm just like, no, I think I'm good without that. I will listen to music away from my room. So,
And on top
actually,
of all of that, there are some companies out there, from what I've read. I don't know if it's true or not. It certainly wouldn't surprise me. But there are some companies out there that are looking to put the entire house on an app on your phone where you can be able to control every
everything.
appliance. You can control your heating and air conditioning. You can control your doorbell, the ring, garage door opener, all on your phone.
Everything. Smart house, smart home. It's called
Smart,
smart home.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is basically handing control of your house over to whatever, to the company.
yeah.
Jeremy,
No.
Chad, I got to jump in here and say that I was just in a conversation with some people. We're talking about our phones, and I need some underwear, and you get sleepwear ads. You know what I mean? We were talking about Robin and I and a couple of friends were talking about that.
Really?
But I mean, you don't need Alexa. You don't. I mean, these phones are listening all the time.
Yeah.
And when you say something, when you text something, when you email something, when you take a fucking photograph of something, it knows to the square foot of where you're standing, the
Yeah.
direction your camera's pointing. They when you look at your phone, the receiver, the camera receiver that takes the picture of you on your side can there's sensors in there that can actually tell where you're looking at on your phone screen. If you're holding your phone 18 inches away from your face, most people hold it more like 12. But arm's length, let's say, it can tell to the centimeter where your retina is focused on its own screen.
Good
So
Lord.
if there's a picture there and you're looking at the shoes this guy's wearing, it can tell you're looking at the shoes. It can tell how long you're looking at the shoes. It's a box full of sensors, and this is why I jumped in here. Because you said smart. How
Really?
clever are those with all the money and the abilities to invest that money into technologies that they can use to learn every dirty little detail about humanity and call it something smart so that everybody has to have their hands on it. They invented a little thing that is so cool and so have to have by everybody that now we're all walking around with little spies in our pockets. And there are mainframes the size of 8 football fields underground within 5 miles of all three of us that are just gathering mega data and giga data, and it's all kept and it's all sold to the highest bidder, because every one of those little icons on your phone has a terms of use.
Yes.
And those terms of use have a lot of fine print, and none of the three of us have ever, none of the three of us, I would bet my mortgage, have ever read terms of use all the way through.
Or anybody in the audience.
Or anybody listening or watching. Good point, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people come to me now. Did you see what they're talking about TikTok? Listen, that's been happening for 20 years.
And that's with domestic companies.
Yeah.
I mean,
but the thing about TikTok is they develop technologies where they can jump from your phone to your laptop, from your phone to your desktop, from your phone to your smart TV, wherever your phone is. If it's in range of something synced to it, it'll go there and get all the data and all your files and all your information from those devices as well.
what do you feel like the purpose is?
They're even making vacuum cleaners in China for companies like Bissell, to understand, that can dock with your computer and with your phone. They seek out your Wi-Fi and they hack into it. And
here's the good thing about today's sweepers, vacuum cleaners, is that they all suck. So,
not my Dyson. My Dyson rocks.
That I have is a Kirby from back in 1980 something.
Oh, well, then that's a real vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
That is a good vacuum cleaner.
Yes.
But I just thought it was I had to jump in here because I just thought it was very telling how they appeal to us by calling things a smart TV or a smartphone. Or, you know what I mean? And we have to have it. We have to have electric cars now because they can control them. They want to shut them down. They can shut them down. Just like Jeremy was talking about. Our entire house being hardwired to the World Wide Web. AI is like an octopus with no legs if it weren't for the internet.
Yes.
AI was confined to the big blue IBM computer locked away somewhere and no way to reach out and do anything. It's worthless. What it does
You're right.
is just like Big Rig Pid said, it influences people who don't have the knowledge to make those kind of calculations on their own. Therefore, they're not going to be the kind of people that need to respect it. If you give a nuclear weapon is difficult to create. The warhead itself is difficult, but the delivery system is difficult. You combine all that together and you give it to somebody who didn't have to do all that work, and you've got a real threat there.
True.
But now AI has the ability to reach out through the internet and go around the planet. And what's to say it couldn't launch weapons? It couldn't shut down energy grids, all of this kind of stuff. So it can destroy the internet, and it can affect anything connected to it, or it can influence people in power to do bad things.
I just hope that AI doesn't ever become connected to our nuclear weapons.
That is kind of a mute hope, I feel like, because there is really, if you have people who can, and I have to say, for those that don't know, that was Race Hobbs. He's my producer. He is also a brilliant host of his own shows, and he is on Friday nights here. And I'm going to wait for him to pop his show name in here because I'm not where I can look at it. But Race knows what he is talking about. He has been in this field for a long, long time, and his connections are astounding. So, Race, if you will send me your show name, because I guess I could just pop over. But it's really one of those things. What?
Just put it in a banner and put it up.
I'm doing it.
All right.
I am. It's taking me just a second.
But
I'm sorry?
He's on Friday nights?
I'm pulling it up now.
Okay.
Well, I might be pulling it up now. There we go. I'm not sure. It's not working. So, but his stuff, he has been doing this since God was a child. And it's Phenomenon Radio, the weaponization of UAP with Race Hobbs. And that is Friday nights at 8 p.m. here on the X, unxnetwork.com, where all of y'all are listening now. And it is actually, it's an astounding show. Race is an astounding person, as y'all heard. And
is he on Central Time?
He is on, all of our shows are listed on Eastern Time, as I was told today, because I was doing a pre-record. He's back. Hi, Race.
I am on Central Time. But
you are on Central Time?
Yeah, okay. And I put Central in there. Phenomenon is actually 8 o'clock. You were right.
Okay, because I was going to say, because a conversation like this, I would love to have on my own show, which is Friday night at 8 Eastern. So,
right.
He pre-records.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna make an announcement real quick. No, I can't actually say what it is, but I've got one more episode of Phenomenon, and then I'm going to bring back my original show. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but I'm going to bring back my original show, and I'm going to have a really cool co-host, and so I'll have more information on that, and I'm going to break it on your show, Kat. So,
yay!
Because I love you.
I love you too. I am so excited for you. Okay.
I'm excited too, but I don't want to take over. I don't want to take over your show.
Well, you know what? The main thing, and for everyone listening, this is paranormal experienced, but I find that anything anomalous falls within that category. I don't have any problem with getting sideways on things, I'll go into the woods. I don't mind, because usually I've got a stick. So it's all good. And I love conspiracy. I love ufology. I especially love ufology. I love the paranormal. I've been an investigator forever. I've I've been a sensitive my entire life. Sometimes it goes into psychic when the situation is important enough that my senses will shift. I don't know how that works, but I'm really glad it does. And Race knows that my interests are quite varied because God love him, he produces my shows and he hears me talk. So it's really
But I've
it's,
known you for a lot of years. I've
you have known
I've
me for
known
a
you
lot of years.
you have a very broad brush,
I do. I
you
have.
know, and you paint really well with it, and everybody loves you, and I love you, and we're lucky to have you here. So
Thank you.
I appreciate somebody who's not afraid to take that stick and go in the dark, you know, and go in
Well,
places that they've never been in. That's what it takes. You know,
that's
if you
how you
want to find
learn.
out the truth, go there and get it.
By
Don't
God.
wait for somebody to come tell you. Bust some
Yes.
knuckles.
Well, I've gotten bruised ones before. So,
Well,
but you know,
I'm gonna put it like this: you have gone to places, Sloss and so many others, that I will never go. I'm a big fella, but I've been in the UFO thing for over 30 years. Ghosts are not my gig.
well,
I can't put a shotgun shell through it. I'm not playing with it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, if I can't put a gun to it, you know what I mean? If I can't protect myself with something, a good club, or something, you know, because I've seen them. I
yeah,
know they're real.
they
I
are.
don't need anybody to tell me. I don't need any proof. Um, I've seen them walking by me
Where did you
in
see that?
a street, probably I want to say 100 feet from me. I've watched 3 of them walk right by down the street, right under a street light, with a silver lining and transparent look to them. And then I saw a black shadow about 6 feet in front of me, moving from my right to my left across a room, a corner room. On the front end of the house, there was a window on the east side of the house, and there's a window on the south side of the house with no blinds and no curtains. We were moving. We were leaving this home, and I had my weights in this room, and it was the last thing I had to go get. Iron weights are not, you know, what you grab first. You know what I mean? It was the weight room, the workout room, the yoga mats, all the mirrors, all that stuff. So we were going to that room. At the end of this hallway, we turned left to go in the door. We opened that door, and something came from the right to the left and darkened that whole room for just about a half a second. But it was something that moved. And those windows outside were about to the bottom lip of the window, to the bottom threshold of that window is about 6 feet. So somebody would have had to have something big as that window over their head at the same time, block out both of those windows. High noon, not a cloud in the sky, sun just beaming through, and it was a shadow. It darkened it
Wow.
moved from right to left. It was there's no I listen, folks. I tried to explain this. I did tests. This kept me up for a week trying to figure this out. And the thing is this wasn't the only thing that happened in that house.
Is that why you were moving?
No, we bought the house I'm living in now. We found a real nice little cottage style house. My baby boy was about to go off to college. And I had a daughter that was 20 that had been having seizures since she turned 18. And they were diagnosed her with epilepsy. And she was living with us. And it was a 5-bedroom home. And, you know, we've always had big houses, all the kids, and raising half of our kids' family, kids. We always had big places. And Robin and I wanted to move to a little small place and downsize. And so Robin was looking, and I didn't even know. And she found this house, and she got locked in on it like a, razorback. And so, here we are.
Yeah.
But my daughter saw a black spot right outside of our laundry room door that was about the size of between a basketball and a beach ball. And it had little sparks all around the outer edge of it. And you couldn't see through it. And I saw her open the door to go down 3 stairs to the laundry room down there. And because it's like 3 steps down. And she froze. She opened the door and she just stopped. And that was a 2-car carport at one time that had been, half of it had been closed in, and it was a single carport out there. And the other part was an extra little small like game room down there with a pantry that goes to the left in the laundry room part. I thought someone had come through that door because it had an exterior door to it. And I thought someone was in there at first because she just froze. And then, knowing she had seizures, that's what would happen to her when she would have one, is she would just stop.
Right.
But normally she would feel it coming on, and she would go like, oh, and I would run and grab her. But she was just froze. I said, and I stopped what I was doing, and I said, honey, are you all right? And she looked at me, which she couldn't do if she was having a seizure. And she looked back. And so I got up and started heading towards her. And she was a good distance from me. I want to say 40 feet. I was way over in the den, and she was like towards the front of the house. But I could see all the way through, just right through there. But I started heading toward her. And right when I got close to her, she turned and looked at me. She just white as a sheet. She said, Dad, I just saw something. And I look around. There's nothing down there. And I said, what was it? And she turned to me and she said, she dropped the basket of clothes. And I wish I was on TV, but I mean, she held her hands up and she made like a circle with her hands. She said it was black and it was about this big. And I was like, black what? She was like, a circle. It was a circle. It was just like a black hole. And it had sparks shooting out of the round it. And I said, could you see through it? She said, no, Dad, I thought of that. I actually thought of that. She said, there was a pantry door to a little small pantry closet behind it that had, the little doors with the louvers in them, wooden doors with those louvers, those vents.
Yes.
And she said, I couldn't see those vents. I couldn't see those louvers in the door. You couldn't see through it, Dad. It was pitch black. It was just a black hole. And I was like, okay, well, come sit down and let's smoke a J and calm down.
Here, let me get you a shot.
She had me all keyed up. You know what I mean? Like, because it felt like there was electricity in the air.
Well, sure, because that was a portal.
Look, it was, and her saying it had sparks coming off of it. So that had happened. And then there was one other thing that happened way back early when we first moved in. It wasn't really anything compelling, but I saw a shadow. People, I had forgotten all about that at the time. And doing the old radio station I had and hearing these people tell stories, when they came up with these shadows, you guys, I jumped out of my producer's chair over here. I was like, oh my God, I've seen that, and I know it's real, but I got to be honest with you guys, man, that stuff just, it does something to me that I can't deal with it. I cannot, trying to be a man and protect you have a shell of protection around your family, your wife, your kids, your home. You're responsible for that.
Yeah.
All the way through. I know we just blew right through the commercial break.
That's
but
okay.
I mean, and I can't do anything with that.
Well,
I don't have the tool bag to fight that shit. I just don't, you know what I mean? And furthermore, I don't have any desire to. I don't,
Yeah.
dealing with
Well,
UFOs and stuff like that is enough. I mean, that's a big enough bag to haul. You guys that deal with ghosts and things like that, I put y'all on pedestals, man, because I know you're dealing with something real. There's a lot of listeners out there that have never seen them, never experienced anything. I mean, they might have had spooky this or that or something, but
yeah.
when you're up against one for real and you see it for real and you know it's a real situation you're in and you can't explain it, they're lunging, they're calling out, they're screaming for people like you that do know what you're talking about and have been involved in this and is trustworthy enough to confide in them.
Yeah.
And I champion you guys for being there because, like I said, it's something that I don't have any desire to mess with, to play with, to deal with, you know what I mean? And I avoid it. I've always, Chase and everybody's always tried to get me to go. I'll sit outside the truck and refreshments cold and hot dogs and hamburgers going on the grill and shit.
And that would be you. That would be you with all the cooking happening.
Yeah, but I'm not going in that because honestly, I'm afraid. I'm a big fella. Not most people know. I'm a big guy, but I'm quick. Something whispers in my ear talking about get out. I'm moving. And
you're out.
Door or a wall or a china cabinet or anything else in between me and the exit of that place, anybody trapped between me and that direction is coming with. You want to talk about funny shit on a ghost hunting show? Try running a 450-pound, 5'10" dude who's wider than all outside, through a 3-foot door with 2-3 people between him and that door. It's
just taking them all.
It's going to take a minute for the splinters to fall before you even know what the hell just happened. I'm blowing through some shit. I mean, that's how scared, how spooky, how scary I get. So I wouldn't do that.
Well, it's funny.
You guys can.
It's funny because the only show I've ever been on was Portals to Hell.
Oh
and
gosh.
I do not, I mean, I don't seek negativity and very rarely do I encounter it. And the location that they did the show on, and Jeremy, I don't know if you've been to the old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio yet or not.
I have.
But you have?
Mm-hmm.
Did you love it? Oh, I know you did do it. You went when Rick was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. When I couldn't come. I missed meeting you by just like that. But
it was hot there. It was right in the middle of summer.
Yep.
August, I think it was. No. It was on my birthday, so it was in the end of June. That's what it was. And it was hot. I had just come back the day before from Vermont. And and I was debating on, do I really want to try to do this so soon? Because I got home very late that night, slept, and then took off and went to Paulding. But luckily, Paulding's only 20-25 minutes from here.
Yep.
Very close. Didn't encounter anything except a lot of heat. And that was mainly on the second and third floor, more on the third.
Yeah.
As heat rises. And we had 7 of us inside that one room on the top floor.
Oh my gosh, that is miserable when you do that. I have been there in an investigation. Were you in the kitchen or were you like in the center? Because they have that little kitchen area up there.
Yeah, I think it was the kitchen.
That gets so hot because there's no air moving in there.
No. Nope. So needless to say, I was actually kind of glad to see the night end so that I could get out of there.
Well, I can relate to that. I have been so hot there I had to change outfits more than once. And it was uncomfortable. And I'm from here. Well, I'm from Alabama for those that don't know. But in case you couldn't tell by the voice, but hey y'all watch this, right?
Hmm.
But when I was the reason that I was on that show is because I was filming a remote show up there, and it was it was crazy. I had the most honest to God extreme paranormal experience I've ever had. And so when they were interested, somebody had suggested Shelley's jail for that show. And they interviewed a few of us that had experiences and chose mine. And then I didn't even get to fully share it because they found, well, if you haven't watched that episode or not, they found things in the basement that were expected but not really anticipated. So
I've
it
actually
was,
never seen an episode of it. I the only TV shows I have ever watched were Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and Ghost Lab. I really like
I
that
like that
show.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Ghost Lab.
Otherwise, most of the other shows that are out there, I just don't watch.
Well, it got to where there were so many of them that you really couldn't. And as I said before, I don't watch scary or horror movies. And I did like Ghost Hunters when it started. A friend of mine, Jay Bloomkey, was their originator, and he's brilliant. He really is brilliant. But and Kathleen Burns was their producer and director. I think she was the producer. I'm not really sure what everybody's role is when it comes to that industry. So I know that both of them were very involved, and I believe Jay was the creator of that. But it's
I
really.
actually got a call from Pilgrim.
Did you?
I did. But the problem was that I was in transition of getting into a new phone.
Hmm.
They called me the day I got my new phone,
Yeah.
and the SIM card was bad.
Oh no.
I wasn't able to get a new SIM card until Friday. So I got it, put it in, and then everything came in on the phone, including their the guy's voicemail.
Hmm.
I tried calling back, nothing. Apparently, he had already found people he was looking for in that
Ah.
amount of time.
Well,
But
that happens. So that is a fast moving industry.
yeah, but I did get the call, and I still have that voicemail.
I would still have that voicemail too.
Yeah. Um, but it turns out to be a good thing because what they were wanting to do with that show was not something I would have wanted to do
Gotcha.
because I wanted to have my team. I don't want just random people thrown together, basically
Oh
being
no.
yeah,
Yeah, you have to do what we do. You better know that the people with you, A, know what they're doing, and B, have each other's back.
right.
Because you can have not just paranormal, you can have physical manifestations, you can have all kinds of things happen. And if you've got just
Random
random people that look good on TV, I mean, no, just no. I
yeah.
wouldn't like that.
So if I had found out, in talking, I would have turned it down.
Hmm.
Um, let's see, they called me in March, and I think it was July. They announced the reboot of Ghost Hunters,
Ah,
and by then they had already done the filming for that
Ah,
first season.
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very fast moving. Um, and it just would not have worked out for me.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you something. And this sounds like I'm just being salacious and nosy, but you investigated and you've enough that you know, created things and you've done all these other activities and such. I would like to know what brought you into paranormal investigation and research, and what was the thing that really got under your skin, if there was anything. I don't know if there would have been, but what brought you into it?
Ghost hunters, of all
Yeah. That
things.
happened to a lot of people, right?
Yeah. So what happened was I was at Walmart. I was going down the DVD aisle, and I was just looking for a new show, something new to watch. And I saw this thing, Ghost Hunters, first season. By that time, they were in their third season, I think. So I thought, okay, this looks pretty cool. I like ghost shows,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize what kind of show it was going to be. I thought it was an actual TV show. I didn't know that it was a reality show, and I didn't know that until I started watching it. And I watch them. This is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I realized that because I always enjoyed helping people, and I saw that what they did was a very real way of helping people. You know,
Yes.
there's always people saying, help me with food, money, all that stuff that people can actually work for. But when it comes to having stuff happening in your house and you're afraid, you can't just go do a job and all of a sudden it's fixed. Somebody
Exactly.
somebody needs to come in and find out what is going on. And by watching Ghost Hunters, seeing some of the methodology that they were using to try and disprove what they were doing, or disprove what they were experiencing, and find out what was really causing that, I thought this is the best way to help people.
Yes.
And so in 2009, that's when I created Things, which at that point they were in their fifth season, I think. Whenever it was that they started. Um, and then what? The other part of that question, what gets under my skin? What do you mean by that?
I mean, like, if you have been in, like, race does everything but ghosts wig him out. Okay. And if has there ever been ha- has there ever been an experience that made you say, what was I thinking? Why am I even here? I've had that, but I wound up finding out why I was supposed to be there, so it helped. But have you ever had anything that just made you go, maybe I should rethink this? I mean,
Not in
sometimes.
such a way that maybe I should rethink being in the paranormal field at all. But there have been a couple of times where I would start feeling like a bit of anxiety. I up until I had my accident, I never really felt any kind of anxiety at all about anything. But there was a couple times on an investigation where I got this feeling like I should not be here. I
Mhm,
feel like something is here watching me. And then one time in the case when I was actually in the access tunnel at Waverly Hills,
mhm.
I I lasted 15 minutes in there. Normally I can last over an hour, not even think about it. But in there, I was in there for 15 minutes, and the entire time I kept feeling like something is going to run at me. Um, but those are really the only two times that I ever had an experience like that. But
Right.
as far as rethinking being in the paranormal field in general, as far as paranormal experiences, no. People, yes.
Yeah.
And they know who they are.
Well, they do. And that's what gets me. That is who you trust to be investigating with. And the minute that you can't, then it's time to
Step away.
find someone else.
Yep. And I
So,
do that.
yeah. Well, if you don't know somebody's got your back, you can't be in an unusual or extreme stress situation. And I mean, I have a couple of friends, and we travel to investigate together. You know, she lives in Ohio, and you met her at the jail event too.
Shelley,
Right. Well, Shelly for one, but Shelly doesn't travel. She does, but um, she and Vincent go and investigate, or she and her team go and investigate. But Lori Dorsey, who is she's actually in chat, and she is a friend of Rick's, and you met Mikey when you were there and stuff like that.
if that's
But
what I'm thinking it is, she had an iPad.
an SLS camera with the iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she is great with that SLS. It's ridiculous. But yeah, and we travel together. In fact, that's who I'm going to Scotland with to go and paranormal investigate again.
I was,
Because we went 2 years ago and the tour was so bad, and I did a lot of promotion for that company, right? And I just absolutely tell people, while I can not in any way endorse that adventure travel ghost adventure kind of thing, not ghost adventures, but a ghost hunting
I
traveling
remember you
company.
told me about that.
Yeah, I can always endorse Scotland unequivocally. Just just not the travel company.
I One
So
of these days, I would love to just to go all over Europe and check out the places, not just the paranormal places, but the other landmarks. Like I really want to go to Stonehenge.
me too.
Um, now people over there have said, "Don't waste your time. There's nothing there." It's not that there's nothing there. There is something there.
There
It, just just to be there. It's just like Washington D.C. My dad and I went there last week. A lot of people say Washington is overrated, and I can understand that from a political standpoint, but don't even get me started on that one.
right.
But there are certain things that they have there that is just an awesome sight to see in person.
Yes.
And to me, Stonehenge is like that. I want to see the catacombs in Paris.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I think also in Paris they have, I don't remember the name of it, but they have rows of stones in the fields.
Yes. That
And
that is there's a cemetery for all of the people who who died. I would like to go there. In the landing, the Dunkirk um,
yeah,
watch. But those stones are tremendous. Those are, uh, I mean, I would love to see that too. It starts with a C. I can't think of the name of it,
it,
but
I know that they somehow tied those stones in with the ley lines.
yes, they are. They're part of the ley lines, or
Yeah,
their own a ley line. So
yeah. So I want to go there, see that, and of course see some of the other things that people like to go see, like the Eiffel Tower. I want
The
to go.
Karnak stones
Yes,
in
yes.
Breton.
And I also want to go see the Giza pyramids and
Yes.
the Sphinx. There's a lot of mystery there.
There is a lot of mystery there. And you know who Eric Von Daniken is?
I do.
I got to hear him lecture 4 times one summer.
No kidding.
Total. Yes, because I was media for the very first Alien Con and the second, but he was also at Contact in the Desert. He was
He broke a lot of ground when he wrote
he did,
Chariots of the Gods.
and he was 17 when he first started, because when he was in Jesuit school, one of the priests showed him the Book of Mary. Okay. They had an original copy. Oh my God, right? So he decided that he would start checking out the world, and he would work as a waiter, save up enough money, travel, blow through his money, not blow through it, I mean, obviously using it for a good purpose,
Mhm.
and then go home, work some more, and then go back. That's how he saw the Nazca lines when there were thousands of them. Thousands of them. He was in the Great Pyramid when it wasn't regulated, okay, and got to go through it. And he talked about being in the bottom, and they had a table that was a pool, and they had bye Maria, thank you. But when they would empty it out, it would refill with fresh water overnight or whenever time it was. And it was just like, how does that even happen? I mean, there's so many weird things there, but to hear him talk was the greatest gift of all. But if you can find someone who is genuinely willing to talk to you about stuff like that when you go, and I don't have any doubt that if that's what you want to do, you will get there. But maybe you could find someone that could talk to you about that and turn you on to maybe somebody that was elder that would be willing to share some of that.
Oh yeah, I do want to go. It's just that.
Well, you know what? He worked until he had the money, and then he went, and then he'd come back and work until he had the money. And then, I mean, that's kind of the way that we do things.
It is, but I'm not
Obligated.
not exactly in that kind of position at the moment.
Well, this was a 17-year-old.
Yes.
At 17, I could have done that all day long. So I get that. But maybe when you do get there,
Mm. Well,
somebody will still know those stories.
hopefully, depending on how the settlement goes and the lawsuit goes, I might be able to do just that.
You know, what happened to you had to have happened for a reason. Maybe it is
It woke
free up that opportunity.
It did. It woke me up, and that was one of the things that allowed me to really go through and kind of shift my priorities one way or the other. Um, if it wasn't for the accident, then I would not be doing all the writing that I'm doing right now.
True.
Um, to date, I have six completed novels, almost 40 short stories, and I've got 3 other books in the work.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm writing every single day, every day, no day off. Period. Not even on the days that I travel.
Are you do you have a daily goal that you meet, or do you how do
2,000
you
words a day.
2000?
Yeah, that comes out to roughly 5 pages.
Mhm.
And Sometimes those 2,000 words takes me 2 hours to get through. Sometimes it takes me 6 hours to get through. Just depends on the story.
Jimmy Buffett always said, if you can write 1,000 words a day, you can write a book.
Hmm.
And I thought, he's right.
Yeah,
2,000 words is pretty great.
it's a chunk, that's for sure. It's a chunk. I'm sitting there and I'm going like this. I'm thinking, damn, I kind of like to have a day off, but I know that if I take a day off, then I'm going to want to have another day off and then another day off. And nope, keep going.
Yeah.
Last time I did not meet my 2,000 words was March 8th of last year. And that was the day that I had surgery on my eye.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would be able to come home, do some work because I would still have the one good eye to look out of.
Right.
I only got 800 words in and I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, it's
But
kind of a big day physically, man.
it was. And it was because of that day that I learned, okay, if I got something major going on, just get up a little extra early, do it then. That's what I've been doing.
That's such a discipline.
It is. And I have some people saying, you don't have to write every day. Yeah, I do.
Know yourself.
If I want to reach any kind of goal, any kind of success, I need to do it every day.
Well, that's just about with anything that we try to take on.
It is. And luckily, I had gotten a very strong work ethic from my dad that I tried implementing at the place that I worked at,
Right.
only to find that not everybody has that same kind of work ethic.
That is true.
And then I find myself doing their job on top of mine. And then it actually got me to the point where it's like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care if the line goes down. And they'd be asking for overtime all the time. No.
Yeah.
Now here I am working every single day. But at least it's on my schedule.
Well, it's on your schedule and it's accomplishing what you want to accomplish for you.
Yes. And I never realized, started writing almost 20 years ago. Started writing a book and realized that, holy cow, this is hard.
It is hard. I'm in the middle of one. I'm in the middle of 3.
So you get it.
I do get it.
And now that I am doing this every day, I actually look forward to getting on the computer and doing this because as I'm writing this story, more times than not, I find myself living the story.
Yeah.
And I'm just writing what I see.
I actually know what you're talking about with that.
Yeah.
And I think those are the best books because if you're finding yourself in there, then the odds are your readers will have that same experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a voracious reader and I read just about everything. I avoid the horror genre as a whole because I had a tough growing up period. And I don't really think that I want to expose myself to how ugly people can be sometimes, even if it's fiction. And so that's why I don't do any kind of horror, which is really funny because, one of my best friends is a horror movie actor and stuntman. So, and he'll be telling me about something that he did or, something he was in. And I'm like, didn't see that. Didn't see that. And it's really funny because I've really never seen anything that he was in except for Naked Gun, what, two and a half?
So,
And that's it. I love comedies, but, and
yeah,
it's only because
there's
I've
more
seen
and
what the,
more stuff.
yeah, I've seen the dark side of humanity. I don't want to keep seeing it. So,
The sad thing is that with the way that the world is today, we are never going to stop seeing the dark
we're
side.
not. And it's different types, it's different presentations.
It is.
So,
And also, if we are all really truly being honest with ourselves, there is a dark side within all of us.
everyone has it. You just have to decide if you're going to succumb to that or not.
Right.
It depends on which dog wins.
Hmm. Yeah. So I just let my dark side out in my stories.
Yep.
That's where I get to have the real fun. I get to come up with innovative ways of killing people.
Well, I could probably do that because, you know, I am a feisty Southern woman. I'm not really a genteel Southern woman, but sometimes I am. Sometimes I am. But, it's really it has to be kind of a release, right?
It is. There are actually a couple of my stories that are based off of dreams that I've had.
Ooh.
And in fact, just last week, I wrote a dream. I wrote a story that is almost an exact replica of a dream that I had 30 years ago that stuck with me.
Wow.
Yeah. I oh, you know how it is how people dream and then they wake up and then all of a sudden they can't remember a single detail.
Yes.
There's a handful of dreams that I can actually remember from start to finish. And so far, 3 of them, I put them down in words.
That's intense.
It is. Um, Especially with that first dream, it involved a vampire. And
Really?
30 years ago, I was not into horror movies at all. I would not watch horror movies until I was almost 20 years old.
Wow. Where did the vampire come from?
I don't know. Probably from all the Halloween stuff that was out because I was always a big Halloween fan.
I am a huge Halloween fan.
Yeah, but I was never into scary movies.
Right.
I
I just
enjoy,
like Halloween. I
yeah,
mean, candy and popcorn balls, right?
right.
That's
So
how old I am. We actually got to keep the popcorn balls.
so that was probably where the vampire came from,
Sure.
and the look of the vampire is very quintessential vampire. Um, and one of the other dreams that I had last last year actually, I wrote it. I started writing it the day that I had it, and it involved a bombing.
A
Um,
what?
yeah,
A what?
bombing. So somebody. Well, it started out with a fake bomb, and then later on in the story, it turns out to be a real bomb
Oh, wow.
because it was a graduation ceremony, and for whatever reason, I was thinking about my own graduation, and they started doing this procession where they're handing out their diplomas to the people, and the first guy that has this setup, it's not a real bomb, but it's a Kool-Aid bomb. He presses the buttons and all this Kool-Aid goes flying out on the people. That's the dream that I had.
Was it in powder form or was it mixed up?
It was liquid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So people were sprayed with Kool-Aid, And then the police gets involved. They arrest the kid, haul him off. Everything's good to go. They start the ceremony again. Then there's somebody out there that has a real bomb strapped to himself. That was the dream that I had.
Interesting.
Yeah, and why I dreamed of that, I don't know. It just came up to me, and I thought, I got to write this. So I started writing it that day, finished it in 3 days, I think.
That is wicked cool.
Yeah. And with me writing every single day, it's when I first started, I'm thinking, how am I ever going to be able to finish a story? I couldn't finish the one that I started 20 years ago. So how can I expect to do that now? Since I've been home, all these ideas come up to my head, and it's just something that I'm unbottling everything. It's just a really cool thing to do, I think.
You know what is I think that it's very amazing that you were able to find the positive to come out of your negative. That this has released it's released the time to do it. It's released the
I didn't really have much of a choice because even though other people are trying to be positive with me, the only person that's actually going to deal with the positive is going to have to be me, because I've got
absolutely.
to live with it.
I mean, nobody else. It's like my leg, right? Nobody else really knows how different my world is, no matter how much they love me or try to comprehend that. And my leg is nothing like what happened to you. It was just a I mean, it was just a rogue incident, right?
Yeah,
And
there was a freak accident, yeah.
so, you know, I'm lucky I still have it. They told me there was a possibility I might not, and which tripped me out. I didn't know how to deal with that. But
It's funny that you would mention something about that, because the last short story that I worked on before the one I'm working on now actually talks about a person. It is actually about a person who lost a leg, and that story came from a dream of mine.
really,
Yeah, it was a person who used to bowl, and then he got into a car accident, lost his leg, and it was the leg that he slides on when he throws the ball. And now 6 weeks later, he is at a bowling alley in Dubai, because he had already bought the ticket and everything. It's non-refundable. He's losing out all that money. So he got a ticket for his caretaker. They went over there, and weird things start to happen in that bowling alley, to the point where this character is the only one left. And he goes outside the bowling alley, and there is nothing left except for the Sahara Desert.
whoa!
Yeah. And
I
that
would
was
like
the
to read
actual
that. That's gonna When that comes out, you're gonna have to let me know
well,
because I will buy that book.
I can send you that story. It's just a little short story, like 12, 14 pages, something like that.
Okay, I would like that
Yeah.
because I was in a little bitty the what was it called? The Lower Keys Regional Medical Center. Not where you want to have something that's wacky, right? And this little orthopedist was so excited. He's like, "Well, I can do the operation." And I'm like, "You know where I'm from, right? You're not touching my leg. You've already scared me to death. You're not touching my leg." So it worked out. But um It's
While I,
just weird how life can turn on a dime
oh yeah,
or a piece of debris, as it were. But, well,
well, I just sent you that story.
thank you so much. I will go grab that when we get through here and read it tonight. But, or maybe I'll wait till in the morning. How scary is it?
It's not nothing scary. Nothing scary happens.
Okay.
Just people disappearing.
Well, I have dreams a lot where people just disappear. It's
Yeah,
odd.
there's nothing that happened. There's no blood and guts. No, none of that. It's
Okay.
just,
Well, then I'm good with that book,
yeah,
that story.
it's
But,
just a mental thing.
I like those. I like clever writing. And, I like to read, period. And as long as it's not something that makes me go, eek, to the point that I'm just all creeped out and can't go any further, then I'm great, you know.
Well,
And
half of my stories they are the scary, you know, not gory, but it's going to give you a visual.
mhm,
But then there are others where it just really messes with your mind.
yeah,
For example, I have a Christmas horror story, just a short story, and it's basically about a guy who lives in a nursing home. He can never live out by himself. He has to have 24/7 care. And for Christmas, his son and his family come to visit him, and all he wants is to be able to go home with them, but he knows he can't, and that's what that story's about. So I do deal with horror stuff, but I also do with the mental horror.
the mental can be much more
Yeah, the psychological.
effective.
Yeah, because I wanted to touch on some of the real fears of what we go through, not just scary stuff that we see on TV. I want to go through the real fears because I've got those fears.
Everybody does.
Yeah, but
Everybody
I
does. I mean,
never see that in a movie. Not much. I never read stuff like that in books. So that's I started writing
I
about
read books like that. That's one of the reasons. One of my favorite books, which would shock almost anybody who knows me, was a collection of Stephen King short stories. And there were several. The Mist was actually made into a film,
it.
and it wasn't really quite like the book, but that's one of the best short stories I've ever read. And
Uh,
they're all,
the Mist, believe it or not, is actually a novel.
well,
Um,
but there's a short story too.
yeah, it's in a short story collection,
Mhm.
but the word count is actually 50,000 words, which
Yeah.
puts it into novel category, but
Okay.
it's presented as a short story.
And it's a great one.
It
The
is.
actual story was fascinating. The ending of the story was just like,
Very
you
ambiguous.
yeah, and you get a lift of hope at the end of it.
Mhm.
And
Movie.
that whole book of short stories was phenomenal.
Mhm.
I can't wait to read yours.
Well,
So,
I can send you my Christmas short stories. I've compiled them together for an actual short story collection. It's called The 12 Nightmares of Christmas.
oh my gosh, what a great title.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, but I'll read them probably sparingly. So don't expect a review of all of them right off the bat.
They
But
they actually cover a wide range of scary stuff. Some
okay.
of it is pretty nasty, but
Well,
others are very cerebral.
okay. Cerebral I can deal with. And which is really funny because cerebral is actually sometimes much more frightening.
Hmm.
Because when you let the imagination work, it's so much more than blood and gore. You know,
Yeah,
we can come up with some gnarly stuff in our heads that I would appreciate that. I would, like I said, I will probably read them sparingly. It'll take a little while, but yeah, I would like that. I read his book. I can definitely read yours.
okay. That
But
one is on its way to you as well.
thank you so much. That's very generous of you.
Yeah,
But
I need all the feedback I can get.
well, I will give it from from my perspective. It's all I got. But the
For more.
I really I enjoy you. You've got such a unique outlook, and we actually got to know each other post accident as far as talking and interviewing and stuff. So I didn't know you and your personality prior to that, and I know that that changes things sometimes. Do
Mhm.
you feel like you're pretty much who you were before that happened?
No,
I don't either.
a lot has changed. A lot mentally, psychologically has changed. Physically has changed. Um, a lot of people will say that, oh yeah, you're still the same person. My dad doesn't say that. He said, oh, you've changed. Um, in some cases for the better, other cases not for the better. And it's just one of those things that you get hit in the head
Yeah.
with something that smashes half of your skull. Um, it's going to change some things.
Well,
It
absolutely it is.
Yeah. For example, I have less tolerance for certain people. Let me put it that way. And in some cases, I feel bad about it, but in other cases, depending on the person, I don't,
Why
because
would you feel bad about it? Because there's got to be a reason that that's creating that reaction in you.
well, it's more like I tolerate a lot of things, and for some people, they they just don't know it. Um, but other people, I tolerate them knowing that they are doing what they're doing is on purpose,
Gotcha.
and that's the one that I don't feel bad about. If I don't want to say I blow up at them or something, but
If you react appropriately.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that I see on Facebook, people complaining about this, that, and the other. I'm like, really? You're going to put that on Facebook?
I
And
I have that reaction to a lot of things that I see that are private things that suddenly are not.
yeah.
You know,
And then there are others where people are saying, oh, I'm going to leave the paranormal.
see ya.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then later that day, I was just talking, I'm not leaving the paranormal. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you're not leaving the paranormal. Nobody leaves the paranormal.
no, not until we become part of it.
Exactly. And
If
in
you
the
if
way,
it's pulled you in, you're there.
yeah, in the way that I see is that they're just looking for attention.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's like the equivalent of a kid's picking up my toys and going home.
Uh, yeah, exactly. I never thought
Yeah.
of it that way, but yeah, taking your ball and go home.
Yeah. And everybody begs you to stay because they want to play with your ball.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, don't come back, please.
Yeah.
But
And
that,
then they always do.
yeah,
Yeah.
I always do. And some people have actually messaged me about certain people And they said, yeah, he came back, and I'm not really sure why he came back. Really? He has a history of doing this. It doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
But I I don't like getting negative about certain things, but sometimes it just gets to be so much.
Well, you've learned that there are other things that matter a lot more than what people
Yes.
consider to be their priorities. And that's a normal a normal growth from, you know, you're rocking along, boom, you're not rocking along and everything has changed.
Mhm.
Boom. You know that you're going to survive it and things are going to be different, but you're still going to survive it. And then boom, I've been through too much to listen to your crap. Thank you so much for playing. Move along.
Right.
And
And even though, I put the paranormal off to the side, I'm still very much involved in it, but
mhm,
not nearly to the extent that I am, which most people would probably find surprising because I do run the Things Network. I do
yeah.
have my own team, um, but the thing is that when you get the right people in place, when you get the right people that you can trust,
Yeah.
everything can run itself.
And
I don't
does.
be in there to try to micromanage anything. And
Well,
that's what I have gotten so fortunate on.
I would agree with that.
And that's what allows me to focus on other things like the wrestling show and the wrestling network that I created, which is called the Universal Wrestling Network. And
Yay, we got that.
yes, and my other show is Supernatural Talk.
Thank you.
I meant to
Yes.
say I meant to say that at the top of the show is Supernatural Talk.
Yes.
Um, and the beautiful thing about that show is that there are four of us that host the show. So
Yeah.
it's not going to be like one of those situations where I have seen it before where, well, if I'm not going to be on the show, we're not going to have a show. I'm not going to be on the show. I got three other hosts that can handle it.
Well, that's one of the things because I've done paranormal experience for 10 years and I have done fate for 4 or 5. And if I'm not here, I better have really good rebroadcasts. And I've started with Race. I've started, you know, doing a pre-record here or there because I know I have traveling coming up. And hello, Amanda. And I'm just really so excited that I can do that now.
Mhm.
I I just really never thought about it prior to being here. But you know, why don't you tell people because we're going to have to wrap this. We've got just a little bit more time. Who who are
Well,
you? I'm
Pete,
go ahead. You. Who do you have that you're the most looking forward to interviewing? What do you have going on coming up? That kind of thing. Just go ahead and
well,
toss
people,
that out there.
people can find me pretty much everywhere. I am on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, all of it.
Yeah.
I've got, and Amanda is one of the show hosts on
Yes,
Things.
she is.
She has her show called Spooky Japan that she does with Irene. Um, and I do have three shows. Well, two of them that's on the regular Supernatural Talk, which is tomorrow that I do with Adrian, Nick, and Eileen.
Hmm.
And then I have my Marks on Wrestling show with Donald that I do on Sundays. We actually just did a pre-tape yesterday because of other commitments that we have this weekend. So that we did a pre-tape yesterday so it can show on Sunday. And then Friday, I am bringing back the 13th Dimension
Yay. The
for
one that's not spelled out.
The one that's not spelled out. Yeah. Not
Thank
the,
you for telling me that, by the way, because
not
that would have been awkward.
it would have been awkward, but I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy some of the content that was on that other page.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, I'm a man.
Well, absolutely. I'm not.
So
I'm
so
not.
I am going to be bringing 13th Dimension back for a short amount of time, which I do need to get with you, and I would also like to get with Race. I'd like to
Okay.
get both of you on separately, talk about different things. I do want to talk about all that deep stuff that Race was talking about.
No
That
doubt.
was all the
And
show.
he's a good source. You will enjoy that, as you know from talking to him.
Yeah,
Well,
uh,
cool beans. Well, just reach out to us and we will make that so.
I will. And then every now and then, I like tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a guest hosting spot on a paranormal game show called Myth or Mystery,
Fun.
and that actually comes on right after Supernatural Talk. And then every now and then, I hop on with Nick and Don and Jill for the Fear Fans podcast, which is horror movie reviews.
Yes, it is.
Um, Otherwise, if you guys ever want to check anything out, you can look up my name on any of the social media. If you want to look up Things Network, sometimes you have to really look for it, because I found out not too long ago that there's actually another Things Network that has nothing to do with podcasts
Gotcha.
that started up roughly about the same time we did.
Okay.
Um, then, of course, I got Universal Wrestling Network. Then any other time, I'm going to be here on the computer and writing up my stories.
Well, that's a pretty busy day, a pretty busy week for you every week.
Pretty busy everything, really.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and for being willing to talk about all these diverse topics, because I love doing that.
Oh, yeah,
And you're a very diverse human.
I do too. And that's why I kind of changed the format on 13th Dimension, is to find out the stuff behind the paranormal mask that we see.
Cool.
Like, for example, one of my more recent guests, she does theater work. So we spent a whole show talking about the work that she did in theater.
Wow.
Yeah. So I like to use the show as a means to get to know the person,
hmm
get to know one of their other passions that's not paranormal.
I would think that's probably very fun because we all have different sides. We all have our own dimensions.
Yep. There you go. Yep. Exactly.
And well, we are out of time. And for everyone listening, I hope that y'all enjoyed Jeremy York as much as I did. Jeremy, I have loved every minute of this. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on, and for everybody out there in the audience, thank you for playing along with us.
Yes. And thanks, Race, for coming in and joining in with us on the AI discussion. I appreciate that because he has some knowledge there. And for everyone listening, thank you so much. Being on the X is a lot of fun for me. We have such a diverse group of shows, and tonight I'm actually going to be followed by Clyde Lewis, and he will be presenting his show Ground Zero, and he's here every night. So, for everyone, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you, and I hope you have a great week. I will see you same cat time, same cat channel. Good night.